Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Monday, the 25th of August, 2025. And as Mondays typically are, I have several updates on the 689th day since the beginning of what the world has called the war between Israel and Hamas, and what many are calling a genocide in Gaza. So Monday, August 25th, day 689. In Gaza, 58 people were killed over the last 24 hours. That's a minimum number. An additional 308 wounded in strikes by Israel over the last day. One of the most significant strikes was a strike on Khan Yunis Nasser Hospital. This killed 19 people, including 4 journalists. This has been hitting the international news and has been widely condemned. AP News, Reuters, Al Jazeera confirmed their journalists and freelancers were killed in the attack. An AP freelancer for the Associated Press was among the journalists that was killed. Another report said that 5 journalists actually died in the Gaza hospital. Miriam Daga was a 33-year-old visual journalist, a freelancer for the Associated Press. The agency expressed it was shocked and saddened by her death. She's the mother of a 13-year-old son who'd been evacuated from Gaza earlier in the conflict. She reported from Nasser Hospital, covering the staff's efforts to care for children under extreme conditions. In one of her final social media posts yesterday, she shared a selfie capturing her commitment to the front line of reporting. She said, "We're doing everything that we can to keep our journalists in Gaza safe as they continue to provide crucial eyewitnesses in difficult and dangerous conditions." According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, at least 192 have been killed in Gaza in the last 22 months. Netanyahu's office, in a statement, said that they deeply regretted the tragic mishap that occurred at the Nasser Hospital in Gaza. And the IDF spokesperson said the IDF does not intentionally target civilians, adding that the military is conducting a thorough investigation. The family of the kidnapped soldier, Nimrod Cohen, released new footage from his October 7th abduction, showing Cohen being led by Hamas militants into the Gaza Strip. And Israeli forces yesterday opened fire on a crowd traveling through a militarized zone of Gaza City in order to reach Gaza Humanitarian Foundation food distribution. 4 people were killed while they were seeking aid, according to reports. Israeli planes and tanks have pounded the buildings and homes on the eastern and northern outskirts of Gaza City over the weekend as the attack in the north has continued and escalated. Israel's Defense Minister Katz yesterday vowed to press on with the offensive in the city, where conditions of famine were confirmed last Friday. IDF's chief of staff, Zamir, reportedly said there's a deal on the table for the remaining hostages in Gaza that the Israeli military brought about the conditions for. He said this to Channel 13 News in Israel. They reported Zamir had said the deal is now in Prime Minister Netanyahu's hands. Israel's security cabinet is expected to discuss the latest ceasefire and hostage deal proposal tomorrow. Related to Lebanon, the Hezbollah chief, Naim Qassem, said that Israel may occupy Lebanese territory, but the group will continue to confront it if they are prevented from settling and achieving their goals. Related to Syria, their first post-Assad parliamentary election is scheduled for September, is now going to be delayed in the southern province of Saweda and in 2 additional provinces because of security concerns. That was just announced that those elections will not happen until there's a safe environment to do so. Related to Yemen, Israel yesterday struck the Yemeni capital of Sana'a in retaliation for the Houthi rebels' firing of missiles towards Israel. 6 people were killed and 86 additional were wounded. I have several updates from the U.S. The U.S. ambassador to Turkey and the special envoy for Syria, Thomas Barak, yesterday met with Netanyahu in Israel to discuss Syria and Lebanon. Barak also met with Israel's Minister for Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermer, and the Defense Minister Katz. U.S. President Donald Trump said that the fighting in Gaza could be over in coming weeks. He said maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to have a pretty conclusive ending. That's a direct quote. Right now, they're talking about Gaza City. There's always talk about something. At some point, it's going to get settled. I'm telling you, it better get settled soon. It's hard to say because they've been fighting for thousands of years. It does have to end, said the president. People can't forget October 7th. He added that he has been in frequent contact with Netanyahu. He said he deals with him quite a bit. He says successfully. We knocked out their nuclear threat related to Iran. With that being said, it's got to get over with because between hunger and other problems worse than hunger, pure death, and people getting killed, and I'm the one that brought back the hostages. When asked about a famine in Gaza, Trump said, "We're sending a lot of food to Gaza and we're feeding a lot of people. But with that said, It's a lot of people to feed. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said next to President Trump, we want it to end, and it has to end with no Hamas. Now, U.S. Democratic senators disagree and say bringing them home is not a priority of the Netanyahu government related to the hostages. This was Senator Van Hollen and Jeff Merkley of Oregon. Van Hollen is of Maryland. These senators met with family members of Israeli hostages in Tel Aviv on Monday night as a part of a broader trip to Israel and the West Bank. During the hour-long meeting, they listened to stories of former hostages held by Hamas in Gaza, and they discussed U.S. efforts to end the war. Van Hollen told families, we're with you until we bring them home, and obviously we share your sentiment and concern that bringing them home is not the priority of the Netanyahu government. I wanted to close just by giving you an update on the Arnona tax issue, which has once again reared its ugly head. This is a tax that's a municipality tax in Israel from local municipalities, particularly in Jerusalem, who've attempted to impose a new tax on church-owned properties that churches have never had to pay before because of the status quo. This move is a major point of contention. It was brought up several years ago. Israeli authorities froze bank accounts of the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate in Jerusalem over this long-standing dispute just again recently. It was enacted again on August 6th. This stems from the Jerusalem municipality's push to collect Arnona property taxes on church-owned properties, even those used for religious purposes. There are some that are on trying to collect taxes for non-religious uses, such as guest houses and coffee shops. The municipality claimed that the measure is in dialogue and engagement and that those failed because the Patriarchate ignored their communications. And that is just not what we have heard. So the key issues of the Arnona tax is that there has historically been an exemption under the Ottoman, the British, and the Jordanian and Israeli rule. Churches were exempt from paying property taxes under the status quo agreement. This is a change in policy where there would be new collection of taxes on different church-based properties. And churches oppose the tax because they feel like it's a direct attack on Christian presence in the Holy Land. And they would be forced to pay these municipal taxes, which could bankrupt them and their various charitable, educational, and health care activities. The conflict has been involved in dramatic protests. The most significant was in 2018, where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was closed for 3 days in protest to these taxes. The political implications are that they're significant. The taxation attempts and related pressure on Christian institutions have led to the condemnation of these taxes from Christian leaders, not only in Jerusalem, but worldwide. So that's an update this Monday of the last 24 hours. As I talked about yesterday, may we not despair. May we not despair, but may we have hope that God is continuing in his efforts and that peace might come quickly. We'll pray and work to that end. In the name of Christ, amen.